Okay, today we're going to go over 4-4, which would be side, 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 and then side, angle, side congruence. So that's what all of those S's are referring to. Diego, are you wanting to give that up already this morning? Good choice. Okay, so side, 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 and side, angle, side are two different postulates that we can use to prove that triangles are congruent. So, for example, if I have two triangles and the three sides are the same on both triangles, that proves that they are congruent. Okay, so same thing with side, angle, side. I'm going to walk through that specifically in your notes. This is just the front page of that. After we glue them, if you want to cut along the dotted lines so you can fold those over and look at those, you can do that. Okay, all right. So we're starting with side, side, side. So side, side, side says if three sides of one triangle, but what math word do we use to say the same? Congruent to the three sides of another triangle, then we know the two triangles are congruent. Okay, which should make sense to us, right? Because if all three of these sides match all three of these sides on the second triangle, then the two triangles should be congruent. Yes? Fairly straightforward. So, what we're going to go through, bless you, we're going to go through and name which sides are congruent to which sides. So, if I say side AB, what side is that congruent to on the second triangle? ED. Okay. Somebody give me another side from the first triangle here. BC. And Sonny, what side would BC be congruent to on the second triangle? EF. And how do you know those two sides are congruent? There's something that tells you. Yes, the two lines, right? Okay. Dylan, what's the last side I haven't listed on the first triangle? AC. And it is congruent to which side on the second triangle? DF. Okay, so if we can say that all three sides are congruent to each other, then we can say triangle ABC is congruent to triangle what? EDF? DEF. Remember, when you name the triangle, has to be the same order. Oh, I don't need that there. Okay, makes sense? Any questions on this part? Okay, while we're talking about side, 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 we're going to go over to the part on the right and just see if we can identify any that fall under that same postulate, that have three sides congruent to another. Now, one thing I'm going to remind you of, which we talked about right before break, if I can spell. What do I know about a shared side? Yeah, they're the same, right? So, do you see any triangles on here that have a shared side? Number one, how could I mark that those sides are the same? How many lines? Three. I have to use 3 because 1 and 2 are already used to show the two other sides. Okay, where else? 4 has a shared side. Now, here, can I just use 2 lines? Yes, because I haven't used 2 yet. And then same thing on 5 and 6, right? 5, I could just use 1 line because nothing else here is congruent. And then on 6, how many lines would I use to show that? 3. Okay, now, since we just talked about side, 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 do any of those fall under the category of having 3 sides the same as the other triangle? Number 1, it sure does. Okay, so we know this side is congruent here. The two sides with 2 markings are congruent, and then the shared side. So we would say yes by side, side, side. Okay, is 1 the only problem here that has all 3 sides? 6 as well. Okay, Truthfully, that's the easiest one to do, right? Because it's pretty easy for us to tell if all three sides are the same. Why can I not say that on this one?
Because the top and the bottom don't have lines.
Yeah, we don't know for sure that those are congruent, and so we can't just assume that they are. Okay? Clear enough?
Correct. Yep.
All right, let's talk about side angle side. So, if two sides and the included angle of one triangle are congruent to the two sides and the included angle of another triangle, then we know those two triangles are also congruent. Now, again, if you understand side angle side, this one's pretty straightforward, but you have to know what the included angle means. That would be the angle that connects the two sides that are congruent. Right, so notice if I go along the two sides here, those two sides connect at the included angle. Same thing here. These two sides connect at the included angle. So it has to be that one angle that falls between the two sides where they connect. Okay, so let's talk about which parts are congruent here. If I say side AB, it would be congruent to DE. Now, what's the next thing they want us to list? The angle. What angle am I talking about? A, which is congruent to D. And then the last thing they want me to list are the two sides that I haven't listed. Well, I'm going to start with AC and then DF. Okay, so if I know those three things, or those two things, side angle side and side angle side, then I can say the two angles, or triangle ABC is congruent to DEF. Okay, so now that we've talked about that one, let's look at the problems on the right. Can anyone tell me if any of those fall under the category of side angle side? Okay, let's look at 2. I do have two sides and an angle, but remember I talked about where does that angle have to be located? Has to be where? Look right here. Where was that angle located? In between, right, where those two sides connect. So let's look here. This side connects here. Is that where my angle is located? No. So would that fall under side angle side? No. Okay, so this one will not work. Okay, let's look at angle 3. Would this fall under side angle side? Why yes?
No.
Why?
It ain't got an angle.
Doesn't it?
A vertical angle?
What do we know about vertical angles? Mm-hmm. Because we've already talked about that, and we know that, right? How many times, even on yesterday's worksheet, did you see vertical angles? And you guys can always tell me vertical angles are congruent every time, okay? So anytime we see that, we can go ahead and put those markings in. So now that I know that, is that the included angle here? Is it the included angle here? Okay, so yes, this works for side angle side. Okay, what about number 4? What do I know about this angle right here? Okay, what's happening here? I have a side, an angle, and a side, correct? What about here? Same thing. As long as you can connect your angle in the middle of those two, then it falls under side angle side. Okay? What about the last one?
No.
Why no? Say that again. Who was that? Jackson? Ashton? Yes. because we only have, all we know on this is this one side congruent. Now, if this had double marks, would it work? Yes, but it doesn't, so we can't just assume that, so this would be no. Okay? All right, go to your, go to the second paper that I passed out to you. Okay, Sonny, will you read the directions on that page, please?
State if the two triangles are congruent. If they are, state how you think.
Okay, so we're going to say, are they congruent, yes or no? And then we're either, if we say yes, we have to say side, 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 or side, angle, side. Okay? So, on number 1, what should I fill in of things that they don't tell us that we know are true?
The middle line.
Good. Right? We know that side is congruent to itself. Okay? Now, before we check it, what do we think it's going to be? Yes, by what? So we think it's side, angle, side, but we have to check. So I'm going to connect my two. What's in the middle of those two? Your angle. And then I'm going to connect these two. What's in the middle? Angle. So it does work. Okay. All right. Then we're going to do the same thing on number 2. What information should I fill in that I know is true? The shared line. I'm going to put 2 lines through that because we've already used 1. Now, what do we think it's going to be? Okay, so I'm hearing both, right? Which is why we have to check it. It looks like it could be what?
Yes, but it's actually no.
So it looks like it could be yes by side, angle, side. It works for this one, correct? Isn't my angle right here? But does it work for this one? No, right? Because this angle should be up here. Does everybody see the difference in those two things? Okay. All right, number 3. What should I fill in? Shared side. Okay. Yes or no? Yes. What is it showing? Side, side, side. Side, angle, side. Okay. Like always, we check the shared sides. Is our angle in the middle? Check the shared side, angle in the middle. Okay. All right. I want you to try 4, 5, and 6, and then I will give you answers on those after you just try those. Make sure you're writing in pencil just in case, because this is still your notes.
Wait, 4, 5, and 6?
Yeah, just 4, 5, and 6. You got them all?
Yep.
My guy. Yep. So, like, this triangle, I trace the 2 sides. Like, I don't have anything here, so trace the 2 sides. This one, I trace the 2 sides I know, make sure. So, like here, trace the 2 sides that you know. Is your angle in the middle of them? Trace the 2 sides that you know there. All right, Dylan, which one do you want to tell me? Number 4?
4 is no bueno.
Okay, why is it no?
Because on the right side,
Hey, everyone should be listening now. Okay,
on the right triangle,
good.
the 3 would have to be at the bottom.
Okay, so the included angle is not in the right place.
Correct.
Okay, I'm with you. All right, Ty, what about number 5?
All the sides are the same.
Did you put 3 lines there?
Yeah.
Okay, so you said yes
Yeah.
by what postulate?
Side.
Okay, and Jordy, what about number 6? Yes, by what postulate? SAS? SSS, right? We don't have any angles, but we know all sides are the same. Okay? Questions on any of those? Okay, last one I want to go over with you, because this one, I wouldn't say it's super difficult, but it is a little more tricky. It says, state what additional information is required in order to know that the triangles are congruent for the reason given. So, on number 11, it asks us if the reason given is side angle side, what information they would have had to give us to prove that. Now, we talked about already, what part can we fill in that we know is true?
Share side.
There is no shared side here.
Two lines.
Angle. What angle, Ty? Vertical angles, right? It does not have to tell us that because we know vertical angles are congruent. So, in order to have side angle side, what piece is missing here?
Two lines on.
On the angle or the side?
The side.
So I have side and I have angle. What side am I missing? What's this side called? JI. So they needed to tell me that JI was congruent to what? IE. Right? Because if they put two lines here and two lines here, then we would have had side angle side. Okay? Now, if you need to draw that in to help yourself, like I'm using red to show everything we know for sure. So like if I wanted to put blue here as what they should have told me, that might help lead you to your answer. Okay? All right, let's look at number 12. What are they asking you to identify? Side angle side. What do they give you already? They give you both sides, so the only thing we're missing is what? The angle. But it does matter which angle. So on the triangle on the left, which angle should they have given you? L. Because, remember we talked about, if you trace the two sides that you know, it should be that included angle. So here it should be angle L. Okay? And then Dylan, on the other one, it would be H. So angle L congruent to angle H is what they should have given you. Okay? All right, I want you to try the last two. Those should be pretty simple. So on the last two, Jordy, you're writing down what pieces of information they should have told you were congruent in order to prove side, side, side. Diego, did you get number 13? Okay. What should, well, tell me first, what do you already know for sure on this one, Diego?
Congruent.
Which part? Okay, anybody tell me which part we already know? The middle, right? Shared side. We already know that middle part is congruent. Okay. So Diego, which part should they have given us to prove side, side, side? Okay. Well, I don't want anything to do with angles. Talon, dx. They should have told me dx was what?
Is congruent to zy.
Oh, okay. Good. Okay, we know the shared side is the same, so then all we would have to do is they just have to tell us that the other two sides were congruent. Okay? All right. Jackson, what about the last one? Good. Okay. So, truthfully, I think the most difficult part on this one is when you do side angle side, and that's just checking that it's that included angle. Agree? Okay, any questions on this? Okay, you can glue those in to your notebook.